Teaching students about the 6 syllable types has been an incredibly helpful way for us to help our students make sense of the different phonics patterns in the English language. Today, we are going to walk you through what the 6 syllable types are, why we teach them to our students, and how we introduce them to our students, so you can use these strategies in your instruction as well. Hi, I'm Michaela from Ascend Smarter Intervention, where we make research-based instruction easy and accessible. Be sure to hit subscribe so that you're the first person to know about all of the tips, tricks, and resources that we'll be sharing. We will be sharing a free resource during this video that you can find in the description below. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. When we're working with a student, we like to teach them about the 6 syllable types because it's going to help them understand what the vowels are going to say in our words. Vowels are letters that often change sounds depending on the word they're in, and this is dictated by the type of syllable that is present in the word. So we will teach students about the different syllable types so that they can more accurately predict what those vowels are going to say. When we're introducing syllables to our students, we like to make sure that we first explicitly explain to them what the syllable type is, and then we'll work with students to recognize these syllable types, as well as build, read, and spell them. When we introduce students to the 6 syllable types, we introduce them in a building progression, as you see here, starting with a closed syllable. In closed syllables, this is where we have one vowel that is trapped at the end by at least one consonant, and the vowel is often going to make its short sound. For example, if we build the word at, we have our vowel, and it's trapped in at the end by the T. We can show students a door if it helps them visualize that the A cannot get out the door, it can't escape. It's closed in by the T, and the A is going to make its short sound. Once they're familiar with the syllable type, we can start building onto the front of the word as well with cat or sat, bat. But the letter that we're really looking at here, or the letters that we're really looking at here, are our vowel and whatever's behind it. These syllables can also have different things like our digraphs at the end that still work to make this a closed syllable. The next syllable type that we work on with our students is the VCE syllable type. This stands for vowel consonant E. You may also have heard this referred to as magic E or silent E, but in these words or in this syllable type, we'll have one vowel followed by one consonant and then an E at the end. The E is silent, but jumps over to the preceding vowel to make it say its long sound. So if we start with at like we had before, and we add an E here, the E is not going to make any noise, but instead we'll jump over and make the A long. So this would be eight. The third syllable type that we work on with students is our Bossy R or R-controlled syllable type. You might hear it under either name. When we introduce this to students, we're going to ask them if they know anybody that's bossy or what it means to be bossy. When we think about the word bossy or controlling, it means that they're trying to tell somebody else, or somebody is trying to tell somebody else what to do. Our R is a bossy consonant. It tries to tell all of the vowels what to do when it's set up as a vowel and then an R pattern. So our AR is going to say R. We can build a word like car, where we have these two letters, the A and the R, working together to make that R sound. We might also have or, which will say, or OR, which will say or. We might hear that in a word like corn, where we have our or, and then we have our ER, IR, and UR patterns all saying ER is going to be the most common at the end of multi-syllable words like spider. IR is going to be the least common, but we do still hear it in words like bird, and UR will be right there in the middle saying in words like turn. The next syllable type that we'll introduce to our students is our open syllable type. In an open syllable, a vowel is left alone at the end of the syllable and can go for a long run, as we say to our students, and make its long sound. So if we look at the closed syllable got, we see that our T is blocking in that O, making it short. So g-ot. As soon as we get rid of that closed syllable ending, that T, the O becomes long, and can immediately go for a long run out that door and say it's long sound, which we mark like this. Open syllables are very common at the beginning or in the middle of words because they're often used in multi-syllable words. So it's important here that students are able to recognize that this ending or the open vowel does not need to necessarily be at the end of the word, but at the end of a syllable. For example, if we have the word table, we will have an open A in the first syllable, and then we will have B, L, and E in our second syllable. We'll talk about this type of syllable in just a second, but this first one is open and the A can say its long sound. The fifth syllable type that we introduce to our students are our vowel team patterns. In a vowel team syllable, we have two vowels working together to make one sound. Occasionally, we do get a letter like W that jumps in there and acts as a vowel, but usually a vowel team will be two vowels working together to make one sound. Within vowel teams, there are two different kinds of pattern that we might see. Digraphs work together to make one new vowel or one vowel sound, like AI says A or EE says E. But we might also have something called the diphthong, where we have a sliding sound like an oi or in ow with our OW. We don't get too caught up with students on the actual names of digraphs and diphthongs. We want them to recognize that we'll have a vowel sound or a sliding sound. Sometimes in a vowel team syllable, we will have two different patterns that say the same thing, like AI and AY both say A, but depending on where we hear the long A in a word is going to dictate how we spell it, depending on which vowel team we're using. AI, for example, will go in the middle, like in the word rain. AY will go at the end, like in the word play. Sometimes we also get vowel teams that can make more than one sound, like our OU can say ow, like in trout, and oo, like in soup. We'll teach all of these within that syllable type. The last syllable type that we introduce to students is our stable final syllables. In a stable final syllable, you have a final or unchanging ending to your word. One of the most common types of stable final syllable are our CLE or consonant LE pattern. In a word, this looks like a consonant with an L and then an E after it. And we use these patterns to add the extra vowel needed to turn these into multi-syllable words. For example, if we were to create the word apple, we hear a-ul, but we don't spell the word this way, because if we were to spell it this way, we wouldn't have the vowels needed to make this into two syllables for apple. Instead, we have our closed ap at the beginning, and then we add the p, ul, and our e at the end, our consonant le, to turn this into a two-syllable word. You can have closed syllables here. We would divide it with our consonant le all together, or in words like table, which we looked at earlier, you'll have your open A, and you'll have your T at the beginning to make this an open first syllable with our consonant LE there at the end for table. Other stable final patterns that you might come across are things like shun or shul, chur, shut. Some of these extra stable final syllables that stay together, as you see here, and they make a specific sound to end our words. Again, when we're introducing these to students, we will have them bucket all of the phonics patterns into syllable types. So when we teach closed syllables, we will also teach ending patterns or phonograms that are common in closed syllable words so that they can make these syllable types meaningful. In our R-controlled pattern, we'll work through all of those Bossy R patterns that I showed you a minute ago. When we learn about vowel team syllables, we'll start to introduce all of the different vowel teams. This helps make our phonics instruction easier for students because they have buckets or categories to put these skills into instead of memorizing all of the different patterns. It also helps us make our instruction systematic and cumulative so that we can continue to build on previously learned skills. As I said before, we do have a freebie for you. So in the description below, you'll find a link to these syllable type anchor charts that you can use as a visual aid as you instruct these to your students. For more information, we also have a blog linked in the description below for you, so that you can continue reading more about syllable types. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and comment below to let us know what other questions you have about the 6 syllable types, why we teach them, or how you can instruct them to your students.